So welcome to another week in Zoom land, and thank you for coming and practicing with me. So we're going to begin lying down. I'd like you to lie perhaps in constructive rest position. So that is essentially with your knees bent. You don't need any props underneath you unless you feel that you want something underneath your head, but that's a very minor detail. I'd like you to put your hands and rest them onto your abdomen, and maybe take your feet as wide apart as your mat is. Slightly turn in your toes, and then let your knees fall in towards each other. Okay, so this is a form of constructive rest position. It could be that you come into this and you think, no, that doesn't feel right for me. I just want to lie with my knees bent. And equally, you could just lie with your legs straight if you prefer that position also. So we're going to just let ourselves settle down and feel the connection of the back body against the mat. And if your knees are falling in towards one another, you might notice that the lower back and the sacrum area feels quite connected with the earth beneath you. And that you're able to drop a sense of your body weight into this back of the pelvis, this region here. And with your hands on your lower abdomen, I'd like you to become aware of your breath. Starting to deepen the breath and just slow it down. And you're not forcing the breath into the region where the hands are. Instead, you're allowing it to travel down there because it wants to, because it feels natural to. So that as you breathe in, the tummy gently expands. And as you breathe out, the tummy gently contracts. It's not a real tightening, it's just a soft, softening, flattening movement. And as we drop our awareness into the breath, and the gentle coming and going of the inhalations and the exhalations, we become aware too of a slowing down of the mind. Becoming gently present. All those other concerns from the day, the things that we've been occupied with, that have been filling up our minds. There's a sense now that as we breathe, we can leave those behind. And enter this state of awareness. Being fully present. Resolve to the effort, the focus, the energy that we will need for our asana practice. In Sanskrit, the word is tapas, that we can often apply to discipline. And we've talked about this in a little bit of detail over the last few weeks. In as far as it is the tapas of your practice, your effort, your energy, your focus, your dedication that is bringing you here, showing up, rolling out your yoga mat. We're into week 11 of online yoga, and it takes some dedication to keep coming. When there are so many distractions available to us, when we're in our own home and the sun is still shining in the evening, there are plenty of other things that you could be doing. But instead, you've chosen to be here because you know the benefits that your practice, that showing up will bring you. You know it's going to do you good. That's why you're here. And that is called tapas. Sometimes tapas is referred to as being heat in the body. Sometimes we talk about it in that respect. But in this sense, it's to do with discipline. And good yogis become disciplined. And that's what you are, good yogis. All right. So what I'd like us to do, we're going to be working, I'm going to tell you what we're working towards today. And I'm going to do that to you because I want you to get any reaction to it out of the way now. We're going to be working towards pigeon pose. So Eka Pada Raj Kapotasana. There are many variations of pigeon pose. The one that I commonly teach is the first stage, is the one where we bring one knee forwards and we recline down towards the ground over that front leg. And for many people, it is an awesome, anticipated pose. You want it, you like it. And for others, it bodes a little bit of fear, a little bit of nervousness because you're worried about knees, maybe worried about hips and that sort of thing. So please rest assured there'll be plenty of modifications. And the whole of tonight's practice is going to be building up towards this pose. So you're going to do all the prep that you need for it. To that end, that's why we're going to begin with the strap. So what I want you to do now, please, is bring your knees towards your chest, please. So hug your knees in and maybe have a little rock across the back of your body from side to side. All right. So then we're going to think about keeping hold of the right knee and sliding the left leg straight down to the end of the mat and giving the knee a little extra squeeze in towards the chest. Make sure that it's comfortable. You're not reducing your ability to breathe. Take a breath in here, and as you exhale, maybe lift your head off of the floor and take your nose towards your knee. Inhale to release the head back down. Now what's happening with your left leg? Can you make sure that your left leg is straight, your heel is away, your toes are up? So imagine there's that wall that you're pressing your left foot along onto. Take another inhalation, relax your shoulders. As you breathe out, bring the nose towards the knee again. Please only do this if it's comfortable. If you have a hernia or any other abdominal issues, please be gentle. Please maybe don't lift the head, just give the knee an extra squeeze. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. So inhale where you're at, left leg active, pressing the back of the left leg into the floor, and exhaling, curling up, nose towards your knee. Very nice. And then you can relax the head down as you breathe in, and you can relax the left leg. Take a hold of your strap, and you're going to loop the middle of the strap around the ball of the foot and take the leg straight up towards the sky if you can. Relax the shoulders. Okay, a little bit of a bend into the elbows, and then 3 more breaths as you breathe in, bringing the leg closer towards you, and as you breathe out, releasing the leg a little bit away. So 2 more of these, breathing in, leg comes closer, stretch for the back of the leg, and exhale. Now, if you want to, you can bend the left knee like this if that makes it a little bit more comfortable for you to be in this position. All right, that's your last one, releasing the leg straight up to the ceiling. Hold the strap with the right hand only. Put the left hand on the top of your left hip so that you stabilize your pelvis. Keep your lower back engaged, so that means pressing it into the floor if you can. Breathe in, bring the leg a little bit closer towards you again, and then open it out wide to the side. So making sure you've got a little bit of space here. If you haven't, maybe go slightly diagonally across your mat, and that will give you, it's as though then your leg is moving more down to the end of your mat rather than out to the side. So you're going to pause here and create some stretch in the inner right thigh. Take another couple of breaths. If you want to, you can slide your left leg away from you straight down the mat again if you like. Please remember to breathe. Breathe easily. Find that same lovely softness to the breath that you had at the beginning. And then I'd like you to inhale and bring the leg straight back up to the ceiling. Now, again, swapping hold of the strap, so swapping hands over. This time the right fingertips are going to just nestle into the right hip crease. This is in an attempt to keep the back of the pelvis flat. Make sure the left leg is nice and straight, and then just move the leg across towards the left-hand side without the hip rolling off of the floor. You should feel a bit of a stretch down the outer hip and the outer thigh. Well done. And then gently release. Bring the leg back up to the center. Let go of the strap and hug the knee towards the chest again. And then holding the knee with the left hand, maybe taking the right arm out into a cactus arm. So bend the right elbow, have the elbow at shoulder height, and then keeping the right elbow on the floor, roll the knee over to the left and take a little bit of a twist here, but also feel a bit of a stretch into the outer hip and the glute. So pigeon pose works the glutes, gives them a big stretch. So if this is an area that's tight for you, and it is for many people, so it's not unusual to find pigeon pose a challenge because of tightness in and around the hips. Take another breath here. Looking good, everyone. Well done. I can see you on my iPad screen. Let's take an inhalation, come back to the center, and then we'll slide the right leg away and just pause for a minute. Just pause. Let the legs be soft. Let the toes fall out to the sides. Close the eyes. And I want you to really concentrate on what the sensation is like in your body, comparing how the right side now feels with how the left side is feeling. All right. So we're going to do the same sequence on the other side. If you need to move around a little bit so you've got space for the leg to come out wide, then please do. We're first of all going to hug the right knee the left knee in towards the chest. And I want you to extend through the right heel, the ball of the foot, the right leg is straight down to the end of the mat. Squeeze the knee deeply in towards the chest, but don't force that to happen. Make sure the shoulders stay fairly soft. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, curling up if it's open up, if it's available to you, nose towards your knee. Inhale to return back, down to the head down to the ground, keeping the right leg active throughout. Exhaling again, nose to knee. Inhale to lower down. Last one, exhale, lifting up if you can. Inhale. Good. And then let's soften the right leg by bending the knee. Taking the strap, take the ball of the foot up to the ceiling with a strap around it. Leg nice and straight if you can. If you need a little bend in the knee, that's okay. So please don't worry if your hamstrings feel super duper tight and you struggle to keep that leg straight. However, relax your shoulders, soft elbows, Breathe in this time to move the leg closer towards you. And then exhale to bring it straight back up to the ceiling. So 2 more of these. Breathe it in. Leg comes close, but don't force. Make sure that you can breathe. Easy. Exhale it away. Last one. Breathe in. Leg comes in. And exhale, leg moves away. Okay, so we're going to take the leg out. I'm just going to move my position a little bit so I've got some space. You're going to put your right hand on your right hip. Breathe in and bring the left leg a little bit closer towards you. And as you breathe out, open the leg out wide to the side. See if you can keep dorsiflexing the left ankle, the left foot. So that means that the toes are trying to point upwards towards the direction of the shin. So you're not pointing your toes, you're keeping your ankle flexed. Right hip stays on the ground. If you want a little bit of more activity, straighten the right leg away from you and make this a little bit of a stronger stretch. Okay. Keep breathing. Take another breath here. Good. And then as you inhale, bring the leg back up to the center. Very nice. Now we're swapping hands, holding the strap with the right hand and tucking the left fingertips into the top of the left hip crease. Remember, the back of the pelvis stays flat here. We're not moving anything other than the leg, where you just take it across, and you might find that you don't need to move very far before you get this big stretch in the outer hip or outer thigh. So if your left hip has rolled away from the floor, if you can't keep it on the ground, use your hand, use your awareness to just press it back down. Good job. And then come back to the center. And I'd like you to lose the strap, hug the knee, take the left arm as a cactus arm, so bending the elbows, back of the hand on the floor, if that's appropriate for your shoulder. And then using your right hand, take the left knee, the bent left knee, across the front of the body to the right. And then you can look towards the left if you like. Don't worry if the knee doesn't come anywhere near the floor. That's not important right now. I'm just taking a little bit of a twist and enjoying the sensation of the rotation within the spine. Think about breathing. Good. And then you can gently release. Come back to the center. Okay, so we're going to do Gomukhasana legs, just very briefly whilst we're lying down. So I want you to take your right leg over the top. So you could have your feet on the floor to begin with. So take your right leg, your right thigh, over the top of the left thigh, please. And then take your left foot across to the right hand side of your mat. And just doing that might get you quite a nice stretch in your left hip, okay? And you might find that just walking the foot over to the left, to the right hand, so this is the left foot, you've walked across to the right hand side of your mat is enough. Those that want a bigger stretch, you could lift your feet off of the floor, and you might need to lift your head off of the ground, but you're going to hold on to the opposite foot and let the head relax if you can, but aim to bring the legs closer towards the chest. So it's like a Gomukhasana. You're going to feel this now, I would imagine, in your right glute and your right hip. Okay, so if you've got a sensation there, brilliant, okay? And we're just going to hold this here for another breath. And we're pretty much doing the prep for pigeon pose, because it's very similar to pigeon pose. Okay, so let's release. And I want you to keep the legs crossed, but put your left foot back down onto the mat. And this time you're going to come into threading the needle pose, and you might need a strap here, but you might not. So what I've got happening now, and if I turn this way, you might be able to see. So I want your legs to look a bit like this. So I've got my right leg crossed over the top of, with the ankle, the edge near the ankle resting on the top of my left thigh. I'm going to hug the knees in, and I'm either reaching for the knee or I've got my hands around the back of my left thigh. And you could say, therefore, you could use a strap around your left leg if you wanted to. And you're hugging your knees, or the left knee, in towards your body. And the more you hug the knee in, the more of a stretch you're going to feel in your right glutes. Good. That's nice. So you're in pigeon pose, and this is one of the best alternatives, if you like, or substitutions for pigeon pose. So if you are struggling with the pose later on, if your knee doesn't feel that great in it, then this is going to be one of your alternatives. All right, let's release. Well done, everyone. Bring the feet back down, knees onto the floor. Leave the right foot where it is and cross the left over the top of the right thigh. Walk the right foot, heel toe it, across to the left-hand side of your mat. See how that feels now. This is in the right hip, the very outer right hip. You're probably feeling it there. And then if you want to go for the Gomukhasana, so reclining Gomukhasana, you're going to pick your feet up off the floor and reach for your feet. And you're bringing your feet closer towards you. So you're bending your elbows to draw the knees and the legs and the feet closer in and creating that nice stretch. Now, some of you, this will be heavenly, and some of you, this might be quite hellish. So be gentle with yourself. But the wonderful thing about practicing it like this is that there's very little pressure in the knees. Okay, the knees might not like being crossed, but there's no weight bearing here. We're not sitting into this pose, so it can be quite a safer alternative. All right, let's release. Let's put the right foot back down onto the floor, and have the left lower leg crossed over the top of the right thigh. Pick the feet up, and it might just be that picking the feet up is enough. If you want a bigger stretch, hold the back of the right thigh or hold on to the front of the shin. Keep the left ankle dorsiflexed again, okay? So this is a big cue here for keeping the knee safe. When we come into pigeon pose towards the end of the practice, you're going to be asked to do the same thing, to keep this right angle to the left ankle joint. Okay. You might find that lifting your head off of the floor makes this pose a little bit easier. So if that's the case for you, please put something underneath your head if you needed to. All right. And then let's think about gently releasing. Unraveling, maybe having a rock from side to side so that your spine and your hips feel balanced again. Good, and then you can roll yourself over to one side and come round and up to sit very gently. So just be kind to yourself. So we're going to come to sit cross-legged, and I would like you to sit on something if that helps you to be a little bit more comfortable. Sometimes a bit of height can help with the cross-legged position. If you can't sit cross-legged, please don't do it. Please sit in any other comfortable seated position. We are going to fold forwards, so make sure that you, whatever seated position you've chosen, you're able to fold forwards into it. All right. So I've got my right leg crossed over in front of my left. We're going to swap it around anyway, so it doesn't matter which way that you have gone. I want you to bring your fingertips, so make your hands, I call these tripod fingers, so fingertips on the floor. Take a breath in and lift the chest, lift the heart from the center here. And then as you breathe out, I'd like you to bring your chin to your chest and send your shoulder blades backwards behind you. Then it's inhaling again, the arms are fairly straight, lift the chest and take the shoulders down. And then breathing out, curling the shoulders forward, the chin towards the chest. One more time, breathing in, lifting up the heart. And then this time as you breathe out, bending the elbows so that you can bow yourself down and walking your hands further away from you. Whether you come really low down or not doesn't matter, but I want you to stay in this lovely forward fold position, aiming to keep your sitting bones towards the ground. If they've lifted or rolled away from the floor, see if you can make your intention to keep them anchored. The chin can stay close to the chest if you like, and you can lift a little through the back of the heart so you're not collapsing through the spine towards the ground. Then with your tripod fingers still, your wrists are elevated. I want you to walk your hands over to one side, staying as low towards the knee or towards the thigh as you can, and taking a couple of breaths, breathing into the side of your body. Okay, and then walking the hands back to the center and over to the other side. And just taking a few breaths, breathing into the side of your body once more. All right, and then back to the center and walking the hands up so that you come upright again. Very nice. Changing the cross of your legs. Same thing. Fingertips on the floor. Let's make it a little bit more curvy this time. So as you breathe in, it's as though you're a little cobra snake, just exploring, lifting your head. And then breathing out, you're retreating back into your hood, chin towards your chest. Breathing in, lifting, lengthening, growing taller. And then breathing out, rounding back. So it's like cat and cow breath. So breathe in, last one. And breathing out, folding forwards and down, walking the hands away, keeping the back of the wrists elevated, tripod fingers. And then walking the hands across to one side and pausing there, breathing in and out into the side of your body. And then walking the hands back towards the center. And over to the other side, where you take a few breaths, breathing into that side of your body. Good. And then you can come back to the center and walk the hands back in and up. Lovely. Okay, well done everyone. Let's come over onto hands and knees, please. And this is going to be another chance for you to take your foot out to the side. So if you need to, if you've not got a lot of space, my recommendation is to turn yourself at a bit of an angle, and then you've probably got room to take your leg down the mat rather than, or you can just turn to the side if you need to, okay? So we're going to come to all fours. Let's just start on our hands and knees and take some circles with the shoulders rolling circles, the arms nice and straight. Remember the things that we've said in previous weeks where we slightly turn the inner elbow creases forwards and we allow the triceps to wrap around the back of the arms. Let's do some circles the other way. Okay, come back to the center and bring your body weight to the top of your palm if you can. So there's a slight movement forwards with the shoulders. So instead of being behind your wrists, you're trying to bring your shoulders either directly above them or slightly in front of. And then I want you to lift the back of the heart and spread your shoulder blades across the back of your body. Point your tailbone towards your heels and draw your navel towards your spine. Keep the tailbone pointing down and away. Keep the front of the hips tilting up, and then lower the chest but don't bend the elbows. So it's as though the shoulder blades are drawing closer together. Then lift, spread the shoulder blades, and lower. So keep the tummy engaged, keep the tailbone pointing to the back of the knees. Do a couple more of these. So elevating the back of your body, dropping the chest, lifting and dropping. Okay, one more time. And down. Good. And then come back to sit on your heels. You could take child's pose or you could stay upright, and we'll just let the wrists roll out a little bit as we release any tension there. And it does get easier with practice. I promise you that being on your hands, especially if you've got wrist issues, sometimes building the strength and the flexibility. That's why the rocking forwards and the circles can be really quite helpful, just keeping the mobility within the wrist joint. Okay, so we're going to come back to all fours now. The hands are going to stay stationary for the moment. I want you to take this is where we're going to take the leg out wide to the side. So the right leg is going to go straight back down to the end of the mat, and I want you to point the tailbone slightly towards your right heel. So there's a little bit of an engagement to your core muscles. I want you then to keep the toes on the floor, but tap the toes all the way out to the side so that the foot becomes in line with the hip and the inside edge of the foot can come onto the floor. How does that feel? Does that feel okay? It might be that you just stay here and you enjoy this nice stretch position, or if you've got your body weight balance, lift your right foot off of the floor and bring it back down. Good, let's do a couple more of them. Keep the tummy engaged, tailbone pointing back, lift the foot and lower. One more time, lift the foot as high as you can and lower. Bring the toes back onto the floor and tap the foot back out behind you. Bring the knee back down. Good. Some of you might remember doing these before. We used to do them on Thursday mornings, and I haven't done them for ages, so it's a little bit of a return journey. In fact, I'm going to turn around this way so that I've got plenty of space. So left leg out behind you, tailbone tilting backwards slightly, tapping the foot out wide, out to the side. Bring the inside edge of the foot onto the floor. Maybe stay there. Think about pressing the mat through the palms, wrapping the triceps backwards slightly, pointing the tailbone to the back of the mat. And if you've got it, 3 of these, lifting the left leg straight up and lowering. Lifting it up again and lowering. And then one more time, leg lifts and it lowers. Good. Toes come back onto the floor. Just tap the foot back and bring the left knee back down. Well done. Sit back onto your heels, maybe roll your wrists a little bit, give them a bit of a break. Okay, they are super good for working the strength of the glutes, the outer hip as well. So all these things, it's always a balance of our flexibility but also our strength. Okay, so this time we're going to come back onto all fours, albeit fairly briefly. So I want you to take your right foot to the outside edge of your right hand. Okay, your right hand now is going to go onto your right knee. So if you need to pad your left knee out, put a block underneath it or roll up the side of the mat for some extra padding. You're going to press your knee out wide to the side. So if I turn like this a little bit, you'll be able to see. So you're going to press the knees. Don't worry if the foot doesn't stay flat on the floor. And I want you to look over your right shoulder behind you. So you've got a little bit of movement happening in the waist. Your left hand is on the floor. It could be your fingertips or knuckles on the floor. And you're looking out down towards the end of the mat. And I want you to open the chest, please. Open the front of the heart, collarbones wide, left arm nice and strong. Take another breath here. Good job. And then return back to center. Right hand comes down, right knee goes back, left knee goes forwards. Exactly the same thing on the other side. Now, You might find turning the right hand out slightly can help here. Left hand goes onto the left knee. You're pushing the left knee out wide to the side, so you're creating openness into the hip. And you're turning to look over your left shoulder, and at the same time leaning back. So there's a little bit of a back bend going on here, a lot of heart opening stuff. Looking over the shoulder just adds that extra degree of intensity. So if it's too strong, just have the gaze forwards. Press the knee out a little wider if you can. Roll the shoulder back, open the chest, breathe in, and then return back to the center. Hand comes down, left knee goes back. Well done. Do you want to roll your wrists a little bit? Okay, so we're going to come into downward dog, and from downward dog into a standing forward fold, and from forward fold into a squat position. If you know that you need a block to put your heels onto, or even a brick to sit on for a squat position, have those just somewhere in the middle, near the middle of your mat, so you can reach them. And then come onto all fours. Think about that wrap of the triceps, so it's you're spinning your inner elbow creases forward slightly, and there's a slight elevation to the back of the rib cage. So you're not collapsing, you're not sagging down to the floor, you're trying to push the mat away from you, or the floor away from you. Tuck the toes under, move the bottom backwards towards the heels, lift the knees, and then start to unravel the backs of the legs, and keep that wrapping feeling of the triceps rolling backwards. Press the thumb and the index finger into the floor. So the thumb and the index finger almost feel like they want to move forwards in space, but you've got this wrap of the upper arms, the rolling you back and creating stability. Have a little pedal of the heels if that feels good for you here. Try and maintain a natural curve in your lumbar spine. You're not looking to over accentuate this, but nor are you looking to lose it altogether either. All right. Then you're going to walk your hands towards your toes. Widen your feet if you need to for standing forward fold, Uttanasana. Knees can be soft, tummy can rest on the top of the thighs, head hangs forwards, chin towards the chest. You can hold on to the ankles or the shins or the feet if you want to, and just allow yourself to fold forwards and down, lengthening the spine, but at the same time opening up the back of the legs. It's a nice hamstring stretch here. Good. Then let's pop the hands onto the shins just below the knees. Straighten the arms, lift the heart, lift the sit bones, look down the mat towards the top of the mat. Good. And then folding gently down again. Fingertips can be on the floor. Heel toe your feet nice and wide apart if you need to. Remember, we're squatting here, so you might need something underneath your heels. And then start to sink the bottom down. Even if you get down to knee, bottom as high as the knees, that's okay. See if you can go a little bit further, body weight coming into the heels, maybe the hands lift off of the floor, palms come together in front of the chest, lift the heart, lengthening the spine, keeping space in the body, not collapsing through the front body, and breathing. Okay, good job. Take another breath here. And then release your hands, your fingertips to the floor. Slowly unwind, unravel the backs of the legs. Turn the toes forwards, heel toe the feet back in a little bit. And then roll yourself up to a comfortable standing position. Good. Stand with your feet about hips width apart. Doesn't matter where you are, we're going to stand in Tadasana. So feet flat, pressing into the four corners of the feet so the inner arches can lift a little bit. See if you can activate the arches of the feet to bring them higher away from the floor. Tailbone lengthens down, front of the hips lift up slightly. Heart is up, but shoulders are down, palms turned forwards, so you're in a sort of anatomical position. When you talk about anatomy, you have the hands, the palms facing forwards. Chin into the face slightly. Back of the neck is long. Crown of the head is moving upwards towards the ceiling. Good job. Take another couple of breaths here, please. Just find your steady. Find yourself grounded, anchored into the mat through the strength and stability of your body. Okay. So gently release Tadasana and find your strap again, please. And we will take the opportunity, because we've got the strap with us, we'll take the opportunity to do some shoulder circles. I've always got my strap set onto a loop, so if you don't worry if you haven't got that, it doesn't matter. I just want you to have a nice long length in front of you, so whether you've got a strap or a dressing gown belt, doesn't matter. I'm turning to the side so that you can see it in this profile. We're going to keep the arms straight, the strap taut, so don't let the strap go soft, try not to bend the elbows. Take the arms up and over your head and all the way out behind you. Keep the strap taut as though you're trying to pull the hands away from each other. Tailbone down slightly and lift the arms back up and over. If you found that too easy, bring the hands closer together and go for it again. Keep the tailbone lowering down, the low ribs in, and again going back. So if you're finding this really tough, take the hands wider apart and do a few rounds, a few repetitions, so that you are comfortable in your shoulders before narrowing the distance. And this is an exercise for the shoulders that obviously I really recommend, and we've talked about this for years, those of you that have come to class regularly. So for shoulder mobility, brilliant. Okay, one more of these. Good. And you can release your strap. Okay, because our next pose is going to be eagle pose. And for that, you might want to block so that you could put your foot onto it. It's only there as an option. If you haven't got a block, don't worry. You can always substitute blocks for other things, but if you haven't got one, it's fine. Okay, so stand with your feet, roughly hip width apart. And we're going to practice the eagle arms in the same way that we've been doing in the Thursday and the Saturday class. So you're going to fold slightly forwards and the arms are going to dangle and you're going to swing them from side to side like this. Notice that the arms alternate as to which one is in front. Doesn't really matter which one you do first, but the next time they cross, bring them around and then stand up. And you might find that that's an easier way to come into eagle arms. If you're still struggling, hold the opposite shoulder instead. Okay, so I want you to breathe in and move the elbows away from you so that the back of the heart can fill up with your breath. And exhale, bring the elbows a little bit closer. One more time, breathe in, really rounding as though you're doing that cat stretch again. And then breathe out. Good, because now you're going to lift the elbows slightly. Okay, so you're going to take your body weight into one leg. I'm not going to worry too much about which leg you're going to do, so you're going to do both sides. Bending the knee, body weight into the leg, and you're wrapping your top leg over the top, and maybe your tiptoes find your block if you're using it, or you can go and tuck your toes behind your calf. Your intention here is to keep your hips level. So if you've really gone a bit skew if you're all over like this, try your hardest to keep the hips as balanced as you can. Don't worry, however, if you're wobbling, because all good eagles, they all fly through the air. It's not always a smooth journey. Okay, we have to worry about I wanted to say the currents of the wind, but I'm sure it's got a different word than that. Okay, well done. One more lovely breath here. You've so got this. Looking good, everybody. And then let's release the legs, release the arms, and go straight back into that lovely swing. Okay, and then alternate the cross of the arms. Make sure you've gone the other way. 2 of these breaths, so breathing in, moving the elbows away and breathing into the back of your upper body. Breathing out, coming back upright. One more time, breathing in, moving the elbows away and breathing out. Good. Move the elbows slightly up in the air, so we're filling up the top of the lungs with the breath. If you've used a brick, stand the other side of it. Body weight into the other leg now, wrapping the top leg over the top. Maybe the toes, tippy toes, stay on the brick and you lower, you keep bending the supporting knee, or you can tuck the toes behind, still elevating the elbows, and find your lovely eagle pose balance. This is such a tricky one. There's so much going on here. All this big internal rotation for hips and shoulders, and a little bit of a squat going on as well. Blimey. Okay, one more lovely breath here. And then let's unravel, straighten up, and swing the arms again one last time. Good job. Okay, so you can take your brick, if you were using it, out of the way. And I'd like us to come towards the top of the mat, please. Okay, so let's take an inhale and take the arms out wide. Bring the palms together above your head. Bend your knees just a little bit and lift your thumbs and fingertips up a little bit higher. Separate your hands, keep looking up for the moment, and then drop your chin so that you are looking forwards and you're in a mini Utkatasana. Keep allowing the knees to bend, the shin bones to fall forwards and the bottom to sink down. Maybe take your arms out in front of you if you find that a little bit easier. See how low you can get, working your leg muscles, draw your navel in, lift your heart. If you want to have your hands up high, still go for it for Utkatasana. Looking forwards, taking another breath in. And as you breathe out, folding forwards into a forward fold. Good. Plant the hands on the floor. Walk the feet back into a downward dog. Have a little bit of a pedal. And then bring your knees down onto the ground. And come and lay on your tummy, please. Okay. So our super duper skydiver pose, we're going to do that again this week. So you're going to bring your arms out to the sides like a cactus, elbows bent, elbows the same height as your shoulders, palms flat on the floor. And then you're going to bend your knees and point your toes towards the ceiling. You're starting off with your head low down. You want your head to be in the same sort of line as your spine. And as you breathe in, I'd like you to lift your upper body, your elbows, your knees, everything you can away from the floor. Good, and then exhale to come down. If you want to modify this, you can modify this into any other kind of back bend. If you want to just do knee lifts to work your glutes, you could do that instead. If you're having trouble laying on your tummy, there are always alternatives. You could take a kneeling back bend instead. So that's inhale, then when you're ready, coming up, skydiver pose. Imagine you're free falling out of an aeroplane, and then exhaling to come down. One more time, breathing in, coming up, lifting up even higher, squeeze the back body, and then gently come down and relax. Relax the legs, relax the hips, wiggle the hips from side to side. You know to do that, don't you? Okay, so let's bring a little bit of a stretch into the quads now. So I want you to bend your right knee, prop yourself up onto your left forearm and reach back like you're doing a bow pose. If you want to take your hand over the top of your toes and onto the inside of your foot, you can. And you're going to bend the elbow and bring the heel towards your bottom. Okay, so keep breathing here. So a little bit of shoulder work, but also a little bit of stretch for the front of the thigh. Nice. And then gently release. Let's do the other side. So prop yourself up with the other elbow, reach back. If you want to flip where your hand is, you can hold the inside of the foot. Keep bending the elbow, point the elbow up to the ceiling and press the back of the heel towards your hip. Okay, another breath. And then gently release. Stay holding on to the left foot if you like. If you want to, you can hold on to the right leg and maybe just stay here bringing both heels in. Or if you like, you can come up into Dhanurasana, into bow pose, pressing back through the feet and then lowering down. I'm going to do a couple more of those. Breathing in, lifting the knees, opening the chest. And coming back down. One more time, breathing in. And out. Releasing, softening, everything soft for a moment. Wiggling the hips. Okay. Popping the hands underneath your shoulders, lifting yourself up to all fours. Rounding your back body gently and slowly into a cat. And then taking your knees nice and wide apart, big toes together, dropping your bottom back down towards your heels and letting yourself fold down for a wide knee child's pose. And you're going to take 3 or 4 breaths here. So relax your shoulders. Settle your breathing. Start to notice how easy it is for you to calm your breath down after taking the activity of the back bends. Okay, last breath, well done. And let's inhale, lift gently up. Coming round to sit, please. So you're going to sit initially with your legs out straight. We're going to come into Janushasana. And if you want to sit on something, if that helps you to fold forwards, that's fine. If you want to use your strap around your foot, that's also fine too. Untap the flesh of your bottom, so you've found your sit bones to sit on. Bend in towards you your right knee and take the knee out wide to the side. And if necessary, put something under the knee or under the leg if that helps for the leg to be more comfortable. Okay. Now there's 2 options here. You can either fold forwards just straight down towards the left leg, or some of you might like to go with the right hand to the outside edge of your left foot and take your left hand slightly behind you to take a little bit of a twist. Doesn't matter whichever one you want to do, there's always options, okay? So you might just want to fold down towards the left leg, bring the chin towards the chest, and concentrate on allowing for a little bit of softness to fall into your body. Breathe here, okay? It doesn't matter how low you come down. Even if you don't feel that you've moved very far, just bring your chin towards your chest and notice how that subtle difference in your head position creates more stretch down the back of the body. Good. So for those that want to go a little bit deeper, maybe if you've got the mobility, take the right hand around the outside of the right foot, left foot, maybe left fingertips on the floor behind you, and you're turning to look over your left shoulder and out behind. So another 2 breaths here. And then you can inhale your way back up to seated position. Take your right knee up and cross your foot over the top of your left thigh. Maybe hug your knee with your left arm, taking your right arm behind you and turning to look over your right shoulder. If you want, you can take your elbow to the outside of the knee and make for a deeper rotation. Left leg nice and straight, heel away, toes up, and press the ball of the right foot into the floor, and at the same time anchor the right sit bone into the ground. Very nice. One more lovely breath here. And then returning to the center. Turning to the left. Take a little anti-turn and counter turn and unraveling your legs. All right, just sit back and give them a little bit of a shake out for a moment. Good job. Okay, so let's do the same thing with the left leg. Bring the left knee in towards you. Take the knee out wide to the side and put some support underneath the left knee if you need it. You can use your strap if it's a struggle to find your foot. Make sure you're sitting on your sit bones. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, bring your upper body down the right leg towards to the crown of the head is moving in the direction of the toes. The toes are pulling back in the direction of the head, so you've got the stretch into the calf and the Achilles. You're not just letting the lower leg go floppy and soft here. Chin towards the chest. Notice how that intensifies the stretch, but make sure that you're able to breathe. Make sure that the pose is within, it's in that you want that juicy intensity, okay? Juicy, but not sour, not bitter, okay? Juicy and sweet. Okay. Those that want to go a bit deeper, maybe reach for the outside of the right foot with the left hand. You can hold the outside of the leg as well if you prefer. Right fingertips come behind you and you're turning your body, keeping it low towards the right leg, but turning to look over your right shoulder down to the end of the mat. One more breath. And then inhaling back to the center and slowly coming up, bringing the right knee in towards you, both knees out wide for cobbler pose, for Baddha Konasana. Holding onto the soles of the feet, pressing with your body strength, pressing your knees downwards towards the floor and lifting the heart up towards the ceiling. Nice stretch for the tops of the shoulders and the region around the collarbones, but also an inner thigh stretch, which can be quite welcome sometimes. Again, a lot of these hip poses are either people's nemesis or their love, aren't they? It's quite a lot of opposite extremes when we come to work the hips like this. Okay, and then gently release. All right, bring the knees up, slide both feet away from you, bring the hands to the floor behind, give the legs a little bit of a shake. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through your pigeon pose. You might want a block or a blanket nearby to support. I'll talk you through it and then I'll give some options for those of you. So, you know, if you've got a knee issue or you don't feel comfortable in the pose, just wave at me and I'll give you some alternatives. But I'll talk you through because I've got a really nice alternative for those that want something a bit different. Okay. So so if you're familiar with pigeon pose and you're really comfortable and happy coming into it, then by all means come into it, right knee forwards first of all, and you can luxuriate in the pose for as long as you like. For those that have not done this before or not done it in a while, you're going to take your right knee to the back of your right hand, and then your foot is going to come across to the left, and you need to keep the foot dorsiflexed. That means the ankle looks like a right angle. Tucking under the left toes, you then walk your left leg back down. So you're walking the leg straight. You're trying to internally rotate the left thigh slightly, so the top of the thigh faces the mat. You haven't got your legs spun out to the side. Now you can see with me, my left hip hasn't come all the way down to the floor yet, so I might just tuck something underneath there just to give it some balance, because my priority here is to keep the back of my hips nice and level. I don't want to be twisted, leaning over to one side. So I protect the knee by having the ankle dorsiflexed, and you can bring the heel closer towards your body. For more intensive stretch, you bring the foot further away. Okay, so you be your own judge on that. And then we'll start off with our sort of king pigeon preparation, where we lift up the chest, and this is where the pose kind of gets its name from a pigeon or other proud bird that puffs out its chest. And then eventually we will slowly come forwards, maybe down onto the hands, maybe down onto the forearms, maybe all of the way down in a surrender to the earth. Okay, so that's the pose itself. So if you are comfortable coming into that, please do. Option number one for those that don't want to do it quite as intense as that is to do what we sometimes do in the yin class, which is to sit with the knees at right angles. So I've got my right knee in front of me at right angle, my left knee in front of me, and then I'm turning away from the direction that my feet are in and leaning a little bit down. And that might give you the same intensity of stretch without the intensity within your knees. Another option, I'm just going to come and have a little look at all of you. Yeah, so another option is to thread the needle, which was what we did at the start, where you hug the leg in towards you. This is the reclining version of pigeon pose, which you can also do with one leg. You can do this, lots of you have done this with me before, where you've just hugged your knee across your body in that way. So there's another couple of alternatives. And then one final one, if you have it available, and you might not have a chair to hand, but it's quite nice to have a chair. You can put your leg, your foot across the chair and stretch or wiggle your other leg back. And this gives you pigeon pose without you being on the floor. And this is quite a nice variation on pigeon pose. For those of you that find it a struggle, this might be an easier way to do the pose. All right. However, the target area here is the glutes, so the big thigh muscles on the right hand side. And we use the breath to make the pose a little bit more accessible. Okay. Now then, you're very welcome to stay here if that is where you are comfortable. Some of you, I'm going to turn around to this so you can see. Some of you may like to go a little tiny bit deeper here, and you could lift yourself up, bring your hands into a prayer, and you're turning towards your right foot and bringing your right elbow onto the sole of your foot and spinning around to look down towards your left elbow. So you're still in your pigeon pose, but your pigeon pose has a little bit of a rotation, and that can feel quite nice. If you've got any discomfort in the knee whatsoever, then please don't go a little bit further. Yeah, and it's perfectly fine to do that, Kate. So don't, yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I wouldn't worry. Yeah, don't worry about it. What you could do is if you want to take the twist but you can't get your elbow to your foot, is just to use a blanket or something instead, or to modify it in any way that makes it accessible, because it doesn't matter what you do. Very nice. Keep rolling your left hip towards the floor so that you are getting that counter. Yeah, that's it. Okay, and then let's come back gently to the center. And we'll stay in the pigeon if you can, just for a little bit longer. And we'll lift up onto the fingertips to puff out your pigeon chest. Lean forward slightly so that you can bend your knee. And it might be that you just bring your foot up off of the floor and lift your chest. Okay, very nice. One day we can imagine, or some of you might be able to do this, but bringing the foot and the head, or bringing the head onto the foot. It's happening in my brain. It's happening somewhere in my head that's happening. If you wish, you could reach back. This is my left foot. I'm reaching back with my right hand, and I'm pressing back with my foot, so I'm getting a shoulder stretch. Okay, and you can balance here by lifting your left arm. Nice. You're looking magnificent, all of you. Well done. It's so nice to see you working your way through this. Okay, let's gently release. Hands come down. Tuck the left toes under, walk the left knee in and step it back. Downward facing dog. And remember how when we worked to the right leg at the very beginning of class and it felt a little bit different to the left? Notice how that feels now when you're pedaling out. Whatever variation of pigeon pose you did, they're all equally valid because they're all working the same parts of the body. All right, let's do the left side. So bring the left knee behind the left wrist. And remember, the foot does not have to come all the way across to the side. It can be more in the center of the mat if that makes it easier. Tuck the right toes to walk the right leg back, bringing it back as far as you can, supporting the left hip if the left hip needs that support, and making sure the back of the hips feel level. You should have quite a big stretch on the front of the right hip, and the right thigh should be facing the floor rather than letting it roll out to the side a little, so you're balancing. Puff up your pigeon chest, breathing in. And as you breathe out, maybe coming forward slowly and in stages, gradually making your way down if you can. Remember, options are to hug the knee, come into your threaded needle position. Maybe use a chair, try that out, that can feel quite nice. Yeah, feel free to come up, come out of the pose anytime you need to. Okay. Those that want to take a little bit of a twist, you're coming up. Hands come to pray, turning. See if you can find the sole of your foot, keeping your right hip facing the floor if you can, and looking back behind you. All right, so a little bit more core is going on here to kind of hold this lovely intense position. Good. One more breath. Nice. Gently release. Come back to the center. Fingertips on the floor. Let's puff up your pigeon chest. Firm the glutes. And then leaning forwards. Bringing the right knee in towards you, or the foot, sorry, in towards you. Toes can point up. You could just stay in your supported back bend, keeping the right hip close to the floor if you can. If you want to reach back for the foot with the left hand, go for it. Quite nice to press the foot backwards and maybe come into the balance. Good job. Excellent. Let's put the hands down. Tuck under the right toes, walk the knee in and step it on back. Downward dog. Never felt so good. Have a little dance of the hips. Nice. And then let's float the knees down onto the ground. And you're going to come over onto your back. Okay. Good. And bend the knees. Bring the hands onto the tummy. Relax the shoulders and the head. And just take 2 or 3 breaths here. Bringing yourself back into the same space, the same place that you were at the beginning of our practice. I'd like you to release your hands to your sides and walk your heels towards your bottom. You've got 2 options, always options. Number 1 is to lift the hips into Setu Bandha, bridge pose, and come back down. You're going to do that about 5 times. Option 2 is to cross the right foot over the top of the left thigh, and you're going to do the same thing, but you're keeping the right knee moving down as you lift the hips up and come down. And you're going to do that a couple of times. Breathing in to come up, breathing out to come down. One more time, breathing in and out. Release the leg. Change the cross. Either it's straight up and down for you if you're not crossing the ankles over, or it's coming up, and as you come up you're pressing the left knee downwards as you're lifting the hips up evenly and coming down. 2 more of these, breathing in to come up, breathing out to come down. Last one, breathe in and out. Good. Unravel the legs. Take the feet wide as the mat. Rock the knees from side to side. Okay. The next time that the knees fall over to the right, leave them there. You can take your right foot and place it on top of your left knee. And just let the knee weigh down, the foot hanging over the leg. Turn your gaze to the left if you like. Okay, one more breath. And then releasing the right foot, float the knees back up to the centre, bring them over to the left, and then take the left foot and rest it on top of the right outer thigh, outer knee, pressing it down, one last stretch into the hips. And then releasing, returning, coming to centre and hugging the knees in towards you before releasing the feet to the corners of your mat. Letting the toes roll out to the sides, bringing the arms down by the sides, turning the palms up and making sure that the back of your body feels as comfortable as you can allow it. Spread yourself out. Take up as much space as you rightfully deserve. And then sink into your mat, letting your full body weight be heavy and released. Breathing in and out. Breathing in, opening your mouth and releasing the exhalation as though you're sighing. One more time, breathe in. And then focus on letting your breath become soft. And the softer that your breath becomes, the more relaxed and at ease your body becomes as well. Let's think about taking a deeper breath or two in and out. Returning your awareness back into the room you were in. Starting to move fingers and toes. And your head from side to side. And take a stretch out any way that feels good. All right. And then you can bend your knees and gently roll yourself over to one side as you bring yourself around and up to sit. And come to sit in a comfortable position, cross-legged if you can, but no worries if you can't. Whatever seated position you've chosen, settle into it. Rest your hands and close your eyes for a moment. Let your body weight drop into your sit bones. However, allow the rest of your body to feel light, spacious, as though you've got a little bit of lift. There's this prana that's lifting you up, this energy that keeps you buoyant. As you sit, notice any changes. You may have already noticed these. You may have noticed them when you were laying down, Shavasana. Particularly notice the sensation within your hips and how it feels to sit cross-legged compared with how this felt at the beginning of the practice. And sometimes it's these slight things, these slight differences that give us the most pleasure, the most reward. And this is what we get for showing up and practicing consistently. We notice these minute details, these slight changes that start to mean so much. Sometimes it's within the physical self, sometimes it's within our emotional self. It doesn't matter, right? We're all this whole one, this whole being. But sit and enjoy it just for another breath or two before we let the outside world back in. So keeping your eyes closed, fingertips down by your sides. On your next inhalation, elevate your arms above your head, palms come together, and as you exhale, bring the hands down through the center and let them rest in front of your heart and bring your chin towards your chest. Breathe softly in and out here. And then on your next inhalation, opening your eyes. Well done, everyone. Namaste to you all. And have a wonderful rest of the evening and indeed the rest of the week to come. Okay, well done. You did brilliant tonight. Excellent.